actually like to ask them what their truths are so that I can help understand sort of the motivation behind their eating disorder and also understand what some barriers might be. So when we can start to create some of that disconnect between the eating disorder and their own personal goals, it creates a lot of hope and space and motivation to take that next step, which a lot of times is coming to treatment.
What are leading emotional barriers holding clients back from treatment, in your opinion?
I think when I'm speaking to people who are considering treatment, it is showing up as fear. And one of the things that sticks out to me is sort of a misconception of what treatment looks like. So the environment of care, the people who are going to be caring for them, what the food will look like, what mealtime looks like, what are the rules, will I have a say in what's going on? And so that is usually the most common thing that we talk through, and also just try to overcome that by really setting the client or the potential person who's considering care up with our treatment team. Meet your therapist, meet your dietitian. Come check out the space before you commit to care. You don't have to stay. Just take a look at what your bedroom will look like and what the group space will look like, and put your eye on a meal and see that it's very collaborative. And
because the fear really is about the unknown.
Right.
It's really about not knowing.
Yeah.
And so if we can actually, of course, there's always going to be ambiguity and unknown, but there are things that we do know, right? We do know what the treatment center looks like. We do know who your therapist is going to be.
Right.
And so providing those knowns, I can see how that would really take some of that fear down.
And I think clients or just people seeking treatment or considering treatment may have some influence. So maybe their friend went to treatment and went somewhere else and had a completely different experience, because treatment centers and programs, they aren't one size fits all. Our programs are in beautiful homes, where some other programs might be a little bit more of a hospital-based setting. And so a lot of the people who are calling us will ask questions like, will I have my own bed, or will I have my own room, or how many will I be sharing a room with 10 people? Because they're coming with some external influence as well. And so they might be coming with completely unknown ideas or some preconceived notions of what it looks like that we just have to really work through.
What are people not talking about?
So I don't think we're talking enough about glamorizing other people's bodies who have a completely different genetic profile that we have, and we have no idea what behaviors are going into that person's body, because all we see online or on the web is the body, right? We don't see what's underneath it. So I just don't think we're talking enough about those things, and I don't think we're acknowledging that wellness culture can actually become a diagnosed eating disorder. So those seem to be all over the place, yet we glamorize the behaviors. I don't think we're talking enough about that.
What are some realizations that have helped clients overcome their fear or resistance to treatment?
What we hear probably the most is realizing that they can't do it alone, and that they've tried, they've white knuckled, they've even done treatment perfectly in some circumstances, yet when they finally kind of come to this place of I'm at the end of my rope, and this eating disorder continues to rob me of life and fun and friends and food and wellness, right? That's usually when they're ready. Also, realizations that some other treatment modalities or lower levels of care are just not working and are actually unsafe. And so the point of a 24/7 treatment center is to get to the point faster, so to nourish the brain as quickly as we can, and to do that with safety, we have to remember that eating disorders serve a purpose. We don't do things that are harmful to our health for no reason. So when we take the eating disorder away, what's left is raw. It's like you unfold your skin and all your nerves are exposed. And so it requires a treatment team to help you zip that back up and be safe, not just at the table, but away from the table. And when folks are at home trying to do that on their own, it can be really unsafe. So those were some of the realizations that we've heard on the phone where someone says, it was actually unsafe for me to try this on my own or to do this in a setting where I didn't have a treatment team right next to me physically. So I think those are some of the things that can help someone realize it's time.
What's your why?
When I fell into treating people with eating disorders, it was not in my plan whatsoever. And it only took one client who just suddenly flipped the switch and started to see the light of day to make me know that I wanted to do this for a long, long time. And then that person, those people, right, they leave and they contact us back and they say, look at all these amazing things that I'm doing with my life now that I'm nourished and now that I'm not taking so much time thinking about my eating disorder or when I'm going to perform my eating disorder. We get stories like people who are pregnant and never thought they could have babies, and people who went to the beach when they had been avoiding it for so long and were finally able to really capture the beauty of what that meant. And people who get married thinking, and they came to us thinking they were unlovable. So there are many whys that we have the privilege of experiencing almost every day that keep us in this work.
What truths do you tell people when emotional barriers are keeping them from treatment?
I actually like to ask them what their truths are so that I can help understand sort of the motivation behind their eating disorder and also understand what some barriers might be that we can either apply really practical truths that can help overcome fear or shame or whatever is holding them back. And I also like to help them identify what their goals and morals are, and are the truths that the eating disorder is sharing with them aligning with their goals and morals. Most of the time they aren't, and so when we can start to create some of that disconnect between the eating disorder and their own personal goals and morals and values, it creates a lot of hope and space and motivation to take that next step, which a lot of times is coming to treatment.
How about parents? What truths do you tell them when they're hesitant to send their child to treatment?
As a parent, I always think about if my child were sick, what would that look like? And what would I hope would be on the other side of the phone or the other side of the eating disorder or a part of my child's treatment team? And when I think really practically, one of the truths is that the sooner the better. When someone is sick, the younger they get care, their brains are so much more capable of learning new things that the likelihood of lifelong recovery is so much higher. So as soon as those behaviors start to become identified, it's so important to get care as soon as possible. And the other truth that I like to highlight is that really identify or name is that it's a full family disease and it's exhausting for everybody, and not just for themselves but for siblings and for grandparents and for anyone who loves that child. And so coming to treatment allows parents to create some space for themselves to restore, to get some of their own help and therapy throughout this process because it affects the whole family unit, and also to spend some time that's probably really needed with siblings. So many of our parents are exhausted, and to imagine keeping their sick child at home and trying to do it on their own, not as an expert, even with partnership of help from experts, let us do the hard work. Let us lay the foundation. Let us work through that nasty eating disorder that is not your child. And when they're done with us, the work isn't over. So parents need space to re-energize, to regroup, and we can give them that space by bringing their child to care, laying the foundation, doing the hardest part, so that when they leave us, parents are ready and they're re-energized and they're strong and can help keep that eating disorder contained, because the goal is for us to put it in the container and the parents to help keep that container closed.
Kayla, thank you so much for sharing all of your experience and your wisdom with us today. And I'm wondering if you can just leave us with one more thing. So if someone's watching this and you had to say just one thing to them, what would that be?
We believe that full recovery is possible, and the sooner you engage in treatment, the more hope that's behind that recovery. So don't wait, and tell somebody. If you've been keeping it to yourself, tell someone. It loses power when it comes out of your mouth, and there's a lot of people out there who care a lot about you and are ready to help you get through this.